There's a link from John, right?
At the podium by Dr. Gupta. We hit the incoming president this evening.
I texted them, and you can text them that they should log in.
Our first duty is call. We'll give the invocation for today.
We invite Dr. Krishan Dikshit, the priest at the Hindu Center in Flushing, Queens, to give the invocation. Please welcome him with a round of applause.
Radhe Radhe and good evening to everyone. As you all are aware of the crisis surrounding the planet, we are in a tough situation. Peace cannot be achieved through violence. It can only be attained through understanding. Now I am going to recite the Sanatan Vedic Shanti Mantra for global peace. Om Hari Om Bhadram Karne Shaneta Bhadram Patye Maksha Virya Yatara Stiram Kari Tattvakum Sastana Viryache Bhagi Devahi Tam Yataru Shatavinno Sharado Antire Mam Yatara Nashakra Shantaro Nama Putara So Yatara Pikaro Bhavam Devano Patilam Katam Yuraganto Varikarjavulari Tiran Tarshavadija Matal Sabita Shabdala Sakitiva Aditi Pancharanam Adikarjatavam Adikarjatavam Shanti Antarkashavam Shanti Prithvi Shanti Yavaha Shanti Vokata Shanti Vasavadaya Shanti Rishavete Maha Shanti Ramma Shanti Sarvatvam Shanti Shanti Reva Shanti Shama Shanti Revi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you and God bless me.
You all heard the Shanti word many times, and Shanti is peace, and he started with Antariksh, which is the space, then he prayed for peace on earth for all the vegetables in the world, and he invoked all the 9 planets in the mantra to pray for the peace. As you all know, we have the war in Ukraine going on, and we have a lot of violence. So I thought a peace prayer for all of us who have gone through 2 years of COVID crisis would be a nice thing to start the new year. And let's hope that in the coming year, that the COVID is coming under control with all the measures, that the peace will prevail. So let us hope and pray for the peace going forward. Thank you.
So I'd like to ask you to stand one more time. Particularly difficult. I'd like to take a moment to remember the victims of gun violence this week. Thank you so much. It's my great honor to call up Dr. Lisa Amy, who's the chair of our board.
Most people from Michigan are so rowdy. Thank you, everybody. I love that meeting. I want to thank, I guess, everybody for coming here tonight. I know things are a little scary, but I appreciate that you risk, your health. Someone has to come out here. People sacrifice every single day. The doctors that are in here, the families that support us to be here. My poor husband who's dealt with me being on 3 years and planning for the Medical State Society of New York event, so our families are probably what give us the strength to be here. I want to thank Dr. Mellinger, who brought us to the 22nd century. We hybridated this, taking and screaming, we got into the hybrid world. Dr. Moore, who is the most amazing historian, Dr. Mehta, who, God help us, he's taking the State Society to a new level. I have to say, I'm very proud to be an Asian during this time. We have state level, that's Gupta, and we're from the Asian world, and then here's Dr. Shah. So it's good to see some of my team standing up and doing the work and getting involved. I also want to thank my community for service and I know these are happy with the person who's leading office, so I have to say, best wishes to the Board of Trustees, best wishes to the Commission, and thank you everybody for coming in and showing up. Thank you, everybody.
It is now my honor to call up the secretary of the society, Dr. Raj Bayani, to present his report.
Good evening, everybody. It is truly my pleasure and honor to be here to serve this wonderful society as secretary. And my job as secretary is to acknowledge our new members. Can you let the slide on the screen, please, of the names of the new members?
I knew that the member being published.
Okay. Sure. Okay. All right. So motion to approve the new members has been done. And on the list on the screen is coming. Okay. Motion approved. Aye. Thank you. Now, as we welcome the new members, it is our solemn duty to give our condolences and grievances for those members who have departed. And so I request you all, please stand up for 1 minute for our respect, gratitude, condolences, and remembrance for our esteemed members who have deceased since the last meeting which happened 2 years back. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Melnikar.
Thank you, Secretary. I'd like to start by, again, thanking everyone for being here for the bicentennial State of the Union. We have several dignitaries present, who I'd like to mention by name. Miguel Rodriguez, past president of Bronx County Medical Society. As the president of First District of the state. Past president of this state. Melissa Regata, Richmond County Medical Center, past president. Richmond County Medical Center's treasurer. David Lawson, County Society Council, and now the Council for the Medical Society. Tom Lombardi, President of Milne. My classmate and friend, Sal Oakley, past president of Richmond. It's been an interesting year. I'd like to show you and read you something. We didn't particularly publicize it well. We did describe tonight's state meeting as our bicentennial state meeting, but I'm not sure everyone got to see the exhibit, which is along the back wall and my left, your right, is an exhibit we call the treasures of the Medical Society of the County of Kings, and I'd like to call out for kudos our historian, Dr. Donald Moore. He's done a fantastic job of educating all of us about the wonders of the 200 years of the Medical Society of the County of Kings. I'm holding here from February 1924. Is volume 1, number 1 of the first bulletin of the Medical Society of the County of Kings. And it starts with greetings. I make my initial bow to you. This is a new departure. The purpose of this monthly talk is to interest you, to give you the news of things medical, especially concerning your county society. If you have anything to suggest, write to the president. It will receive prompt attention. Our new president is, of course, Jagdish Gupta, and he looks forward to honor and privilege, as I said before, of being the society president during this very auspicious time. I'd like to congratulate my friend and colleague, Dr. Jagdish Gupta, who will ascend as the 174th president of MSCK in just a few months. I'd like to congratulate my mentor and friend, Dr. Parag Mehta, who the state of New York. Its first president of Asian origin and descent, and I hazard to guess its first medical informaticist president. And it's been a long time coming. The leadership of the Medical Society and the Bicentennial Celebrations Committee have worked very diligently. Dr. Moore has led the effort to review our archives. We discovered quite a few of them were damaged, and he has done an excellent job of restoring what he can and planning tonight's exhibit. And we're not up here chatting you up. I recommend everyone take a look at the exhibit before the end of the day. Thank you. And at our full event, which will be a presidential, bicentennial presidential gala dinner, we will also have an exhibit, and our website will feature our treasures forever, but we will in particular celebrate them throughout this year. My career started in Brooklyn at SUNY Downstate Medical College. I had gotten into, it's kind of late in the game, I didn't immediately get into medical school. I was the best student in college. But I had gotten into a couple of medical schools, but I had it in my head that if I trained at city hospitals in New York and went anywhere in the country and said, yeah, I trained at public hospitals in New York City, that they would just say, okay, you can work here. So I was waitlisted at Downstate and got on the train and went out to see the Dean of Admissions, Dr. Tudor. It was the last time I ever saw him. And I brought my letter of acceptance to the University of Cincinnati. And I showed it to him. I told him I just wanted him to know that I had gotten into medical school. And he looked at the letter and he congratulated me. And I pointed to the bottom of the letter and I said, they're asking for a $200, 1982. So it's a lot of money. They're asking for a $200 deposit for the spot. And I said, well, there's just one problem. I don't want to go to Cincinnati. I want to go to Downstate. So my question to him was, should my father write the check for the $200? And he looked at the letter again, he looked at me, he looked at the letter, he looked at me, and he said, no. And that's how my career in this started in Brooklyn. My career has been much better than I ever imagined it would be, and I have always had a very active imagination. Part of the reason it has been so fantastic is represented by my friends and colleagues at Table 2 from what used to be the Methodist Hospital when I was at Downstate, became New York Methodist Hospital, and is now New York Presbyterian Brooklyn Methodist Hospital. The Methodists are okay with it. We're still waiting to hear from the Presbyterians. One of the reasons it's been so fantastic is because of the old friends. Dr. Bo, my chairman, who couldn't make it tonight, and Ted Data, who's at Table 2, who has been a friend for 28 years, and with Joe created a very nurturing environment so that I could define a niche for myself. Early on in emergency medicine, I thought that niche was going to be hyperbaric medicine, which I still have some affection for as a scuba diver for clinical reasons. But it was overwhelmed by a new technology that was coming to fruition. And that was portable ultrasound. That we could bring you to the bedside. Like I say, it's not like results. At Methodist, we ultrasound every inch of a patient's body. It's not about gallbladders. It's not only about pregnancy. It's not only about echo. We have developed finest emergency ultrasound division in the country at Methodist. Your older friend Mike Cabazon is here, a SNP specialist who also completed his ultrasound fellowship at Methodist. And two of our fellows, Luke Bai and Trinidad Green, are here tonight. I wanted them here in particular because we will be publishing a bulletin at the end of the year for the bicentennial. Dr. Abdul Rahman will be the editor of the bulletin, and it will endeavor to discuss the great advances of every specialty in medicine in Brooklyn over the last 50 years. Dr. Gudvali, who will be talking about neonatology, which was born about the same time as emergency medicine in the middle of the 20th century. Dr. Prasad will talk about surgery. And we will have specialists from each field. We get very excited about the book. We'll jump in and talk about it tonight. This should be a really special thing. And what I'll be talking about in the bulletin is the birth of emergency medicine. And what's made my career so amazing is being involved in this new technology. Anyone, I know Alan's here with his son. He follows us into medicine. Alan, there's a good chance he'll never own steps. And because the idea of 20 years of just listening to your patient's heart without looking at them right there at the bedside will be bizarre for that young man. He grows up as being, kind of sassy like his dad. He'll make fun of him well. It's only listen, and if you didn't know. But we're in the business of doing both. Today, the healthcare system has many challenges. But we are moving forward, we are making progress. If we can overcome the barriers to access, and we can expand the use of point-of-care testing right at the point where the clinician encounters the patient, as opposed to sending them off to the imaging center, sending them off to have tests done in another center. Do it all right during the encounter. We have an opportunity to truly democratize healthcare in America, in New York, and in America, and get to a point where we're finally prioritizing and incentivizing well-being and health as opposed to it's a turning point, it's historic, and it's been a distinct honor to be your president at this inflection point. Thank you. This time I ask Dr. Madhu Gudvali, our president-elect, who will be president a year from now, to escort Dr. Jagdish Gupta to the podium. is of the same honor and privilege as the 173rd President of the Medical Society of the County of Kings to transfer the presidential gavel to its 174th President, Dr. Jacob.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Dr. Gulwani, for escorting me here. And I am all emotional. So please forgive me. I would start saying I'm very humbled, truly privileged, and extremely honored to welcome you all to our 201st bicentennial stated meeting by the Medical Society of the County of Kings and the Academy of Medicine of Brooklyn. This year's meeting is special, as Larry pointed out, because of the specially auspicious occasion as it continues the year-long celebration of our bicentennial. I'm proud to share with you that this morning, Assemblywoman Rodneyze Bishot Carmelin and Assemblyman Mr. Michael Tanusis had the resolution K-1936 commemorating the bicentennial stated meeting of the Medical Society of County of Kings was adopted and in the New York State Assembly and awaiting signature of our governor, Ms. Hochul. So let us have a big round of applause. The political leader. If you have that slide, can you please project the resolution? A936. So it's a little bit of a stretch because we will be getting the proclamation after being signed by the governor, but these were the wordings on that. So I just wanted to share this happy news with everyone present here. As you all know, on a somber note, COVID-19 pandemic upended the rhythm of our personal as well as our professional life. Traditional working of our medical society of 200 years old came to a screeching halt. So these are the difficulties we went through last 2 years, and I just want to give you a glimpse of that. However, as an organization, we persevered, reimagined our operation, and implemented new strategies. Virtual meeting replaced in-person meetings. We amended our bylaws to facilitate electronic elections. Elections need to be held in person. Surveys became the instrument to soliciting opinions and fostering democratic governance. So survey monkeys were sent out to all the members to make election possible. Social media and our website became the backbone of our communication strategy to foster unity and togetherness. And despite of social distancing, we were able to keep in touch with us. I am very grateful to Dr. Lance Austin, who continued with our social distancing. Overall, the organization was renewed and brought into 21st century, as Larry always puts it. I'm grateful to Dr. Valuru, our past president, Dr. Prasad Gurwali, our immediately past president, and Dr. and everyone else in our leadership team for all their hard work during possibly the most challenging time in our organizational 200 years. So these were the changes we went through all this year. Team 22-23, that is my team, which will be elected as Dr. Team announces those results, promises to continue this progressive transformation. We will continue the work which we started last 2 years. The central focus during my presidency will be to bring harmony to our efforts, empower ourselves to increase membership, which is a critical issue at this time for the organization. And to do that, we need to enhance membership benefits, create program for the wellness of the physician and patient together, because lot of our healthcare professionals have been suffering with the mental issues and disparities in patient care, and bringing equity in healthcare to all, irrespective of cost, creed, or financial status. I know these are all tall orders, but I will have a wonderful team to help me achieve all these things. And this is our focus going forward. Dr. Larry Maldika did a wonderful job reflecting on the last 200 years. And it is our most prestigious professional organization. I was amazed reading those 200 years of caliber of their intelligence and forward-thinking ideas of all of my great predecessors. They all left indelible mark with their achievements and their accomplishments in the field of research, education, innovation in medical and surgical technology, and above all, in patient care. Once you go through these treasures, you will realize, go into the details of all these things, what they all went through in 19th and 20th century, and we are just coming to the 21st. Finally, as we continue to make our way through the next phase of the pandemic, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude and appreciation to every physician in the county and to all the physicians who are present here tonight. Brooklyn is our home, and having professionally practiced personally here for 50 years, I know that Brooklynites are intelligent, practical, and community-focused populations. Like so many past challenges, we have, conquered. We will overcome this pandemic situation too. Let us be optimistic that we will rebuild with kindness, compassion, equality, and healthcare for all. I am very optimistic that the good times are ahead. Let us just work towards the good times. Thank you very much for listening to me. Just to continue with our presentation this evening, and I would like to play the messages which came across from the organization which I have belonged to in the past. Please go ahead.
Good evening, I'm Dr. Ravi Pavli, President Director of AAPI, American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, that represents over 100,000 physicians of Indian origin in America. It gives me immense pleasure and joy and pride to know that Dr. Jagdish Gupta, a good friend and the leader of AAPI, is assuming the role of building the Prince County Medical Society. With his meticulous planning and efficient execution, Dr. Kant Gupta will perform his job at the highest level. I wish Dr. Gupta and his team a successful year, and I also want to congratulate and thank Dr. Gupta for his services to the fraternity and the profession for the last 50 years. Thank you again.
That's very nice. Thank you for the nice round of applause. Dr. Ravi Modi is the president-elect of the National RP, which is an ethnic organization of the American Association of Physicians of Indian origin. They have 100,000 members, 100,000 members, and second is the largest ethnic organization, but second to AMA in America. So Dr. Kohli will be taking charge of the national level in coming month, June 23rd. So it was nice to hear from him. Taking another pause and trying to welcome our, guest of honor tonight, Mr. I would like to invite our district attorney, Mr. Eric Gonzalez. Gun violence has been alluded to as one of the big factors, not only in big cities, now it is happening all over America. And I really appreciated our district attorney to take initiating steps. And he has already started the program for buying back guns. We would like to hear more about him by our incoming Vice President, Dr. Raj Behani, to give a short introduction of our district attorney. I'm sorry, Honorable District Attorney, but you have to stand for another 30 seconds. No, just keep standing. Take the walk.
Hello, everybody again. As incoming Vice President, it is my pleasure and honor to introduce Eric Gonzalez, our District Attorney. Everybody knows our top cop or the top lawyer of our Brooklyn County. He has been serving county since 1995 as in the DA's office. He is historic because he is the first Latino district attorney in New York State. I regard it as a lot of credit. During his time, rest of the country and the state has seen the crime going up, but Brooklyn has seen in the last 5 years the crime went down by 16%. And the credit goes to tonight, every night, our families and our children are safe and sleep peacefully because of this man. Please welcome him. Big round of applause. Here we go. Eric Gonzalez. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor for me to be here with all of you, celebrating really the historic legacy that this institution shares. 200 years is not bad. The accomplishments of the Medical Society of the County of Kings over the years, what it's meant to this county, what it's meant to the medicine is very important. And today I came as district attorney here, not only because you're one of the oldest scientific organizations in the country, right? Yeah, oldest. That's a proud thing to be proud of. But because the work that the Medical Society of the County of Kings does is such a critical institution for really the progress that's been made, as the doctor was talking about, that we're not going to have census votes really as much. We're going to be not just listening, but looking. The progress that medicine has been made in negative medicine has been remarkable in our lifetimes. In our lifetimes, how far we've progressed is really incredible. But it's not only that, it's also the standards and proficiency of care that's such important that an organization like this really comes together and brings the best thinking. So, as district attorney, I wanted to bring my greetings, but I also wanted to say thank you, because I know many of you have been on the front lines for the past 2 years. And I have a lot of friends who work in hospitals, friends who are doctors, nurses, and other people in the medical profession, and they've suffered a lot during this past year. The burnout, the fatigue, the stress. So when we have a room like this, people who've been doing this for such a long time, it's important that we say thank you. So as district attorney, elected and representing 2.7 million people in the county of Brooklyn, I offer a thank you for what you do each and every day to keep the citizens of this city and Brooklyn safe, for healing people, and by really, quite honestly, we already heard today, during the pandemic, putting your own lives at risk. Now, in Brooklyn, I think that we have to always talk about public safety, because we're leading the way in this city in crime reduction. We hear about, we should talk about that. For the past few years, shootings and homicides have been up in New York City dramatically. We saw it just a couple of days ago now, someone was shot on a Q train, killed. Obviously, we've had these mass shootings across the country and in Buffalo and Texas. But in Brooklyn, we've been reversing the trend. And last year, crime was down, most violent crime was down in the county. We're the only county that saw a reduction in both shootings and homicides. For you, halfway through this year, we're about down an additional 25% in shootings from where we were during the pandemic. But this goes beyond just what prosecutors and police do. We know, and the police commissioner, if she was here, or any district attorney would tell you that public safety is a joint venture. It's a joint effort. It requires a partnership between law enforcement and the public and private enterprise. I think Dr. mentioned that we had a buyback that was done in conjunction with Junior's restaurant in downtown Brooklyn, Cheesecake folks. They provided iPads. And we turned in, we traded people iPads for guns. And we took 69 small firearms off the streets of Brooklyn. Sure that saved lives. But the work that you do is something that is critically important, because we believe that the best resource communities, the communities that have good health care and good education and safe housing, are the communities where crime drops. And that's one of the key secrets of Brooklyn. Brooklyn has been going through a renaissance over the last several years, really the last decade. That renaissance, in part, is because people like yourselves have committed to either working and living in the county and providing care in the county. quality healthcare is part of the solution to public safety, especially healthcare, including mental health services, rehabilitative services, all those things drive down violence. And because of that, I'm here today to how the medical profession can work with law enforcement to continue to produce public safety. We know that some of the hospitals in Brooklyn have doctors and programs where they work with people coming to the ER to do violence interruption and reduce violence. Some of the doctors that I work with are very critical in providing health care to people who would otherwise be without that care. And together, I think we can continue to lead the way. So thank you on behalf of the people that I represent for your work. Congratulations.
Let us have a couple of our leadership, Dr. Malika in front, Dr. Lisa King, if she's here, Dr. Adolph Meyer, our counselor, and I would like to have a couple of board of trustees here, Dr. Vance Osti, Dr. Robert Frankel, and all those people to come down here and take a picture with our DA and Dr. Godawali, you know, sorry, I'm not here, but Dr. Speedy.
And I have this citation that I hope becomes part of. All right, Dr. Here. One more time. Everybody up here. One more time. Thank you. Please here. No, please, again. Thank you. All of you, please.
Oh, people are chatting.
Slip in the secretary. Thanks.
All right, good.
All right, thanks.
That's so good.
Along with that, PA, Harry Gonzalez, let me also recognize Gary Messenger.
Is still going on?
No, I stopped.
So is it on hold or is it going on?
No, I pressed the stop video.
Program, because this is not the end of it. I would like our DJ to play the video, and I would like to invite Mr. Nand to be live. Please come and join me. He is the Chief of Staff of Mr. Michael Danuse's office. Let's have quietness, please.
Hi, this is Dr. Michael Danuses, and I'd like to send my regards to my friends at the Medical Society of New York for the County of Kings. I'd like to congratulate Dr. Sanjiv Chopra on his new role as the incoming president. I'd also like to thank Dr. Lawrence Melniker as the outgoing president for the Medical Society of New York for the County of Kings. I'd also like to congratulate Dr. Kara Nekta on his new role as being the statewide president for the Medical Society of New York. Good luck, congratulations, and I hope to see all of you soon.
Thank you very much, Anand, for bringing all the citations and help which our Assemblyman Mike Tanusis has done in sponsoring the bill for proclamation 3936. So thank you. Now it's my distinct honor to invite our keynote speaker. If you can keep me quietness for a few seconds, I will start with the program again. Please take a seat and let us respect everybody. For 12 years continuously. At present, he served as a Marshal of Distinguished Clinical Educator and Brigham and Women Hospital. Dr. Chopra has written more than 170 publications and 10 books. To the credit of Dr. Chopra, also editor-in-chief of the hepatology section of Up to Date. And just for your information, the most widely used electronic textbook in the world, subscribed by more than 1.5 million divisions in 195 countries. He is a very sought after inspirational speaker across the United States and abroad, addressing diverse audiences on topics related to medicine, leadership, happiness, and living with purpose. He has received numerous awards, too many to count, let alone enumerate. I would like to mention only three. The American Gastroenterological Association Distinguished Educator Award in 2003. The biggest honor, he became the Master of American College of Physicians, a singular honor bestowed to only a select few individuals who set the standards for setting quality in medicine. And above all, he was bestowed the fellowship in the Royal College of Physicians, London, honorarily in 2021, that is the last year. So without further ado, let us welcome Dr. Sanjiv Chopra.
Thank you so very much for that very kind introduction. I'm delighted to be in your midst. I'm honored and humbled. And to share with you some reflections about the two most important days, and I'll come back to that, about lasting happiness and living with purpose. I have the first slide. So all the research has shown that the acquisition of expensive objects, if you move into a mansion in Beverly Hills, or you get this amazing luxury car, you'll be happy for a short period of time. Most people after a few months, will return to their baseline level of happiness. It's a card. It's a wonderful place to entertain and invite friends. This phenomenon is called hedonic adaptation. Hedonic treatment. In contrast, meaningful experiences, that happens to be Milford Sound in New Zealand. I've had the good fortune of visiting that most beautiful scenic spot on this planet, together with my wife some years ago. Or if you partake in charitable events, you'll be happy. Now, you and I don't have to go to Milford Sound. We could go to a local coffee shop with a friend and talk about life and talk about ideas, and it will lead to much more sustained happiness. Now look at this. This is a huge contrast. What happens to Roger Withers a year later? And all the research has shown that they're back to their baseline level of happiness. I know of an individual in the town where we live, there's a Costco, and he used to stand at the exit and look at the cards and then sign your piece of paper and off he went to the parking lot. And together with another colleague, the two of them bought an $8 scratch ticket. And they won $20 million. So each one of them got $10 million. Luckily, he has given away 10% of that newfound wealth to charity. And he's partaking in meaningful experiences. For the first time, he got a passport. He's traveled abroad. He's helping his sister and mother. If you meet him, he's one of the happiest guys on this planet. But if you don't do that, if you don't donate to charity, roughly 10% to a meaningful charity that's meaningful to you, and have meaningful experiences, at the end of the year, you're back to baseline, sometimes even worse off. Look at the flip side. One of the worst ways that can befall a human being. Break your neck and become paralyzed for life, right? That happened to Superman. Christopher Reeves, a very accomplished equestrian, taking part in a race. Suddenly the horse buckled, he went flying, broke his leg. And for the first couple of months, there's often a victim mentality. Why did God do this to me? But he had an amazing wife, he had great friends. And this is what he said before the hill was over. He said, I'm not living the life I thought I would lead, but it does have meaning, purpose. There is joy. There is laughter. Human beings are amazingly resilient. Now, Socrates was one of the first to argue that happiness was not bestowed upon his selection. Prior to that, it was the prevalent belief that nobility, royalty, poets, philosophers, it was their purview, and that the common man was not entitled to happiness. He said, no, everyone is entitled to happiness. That virtue and happiness are inextricably linked. Actually, the ancient Greeks did not use the word happiness. They used a term called eudaimonia, which literally translated means human flourish. You flourish if you're happy. Now I've come to the conclusion that the happiest people on this planet have four things in common. And the first is they have a cadre of good friends. Your friends are your chosen family. Robert Louis Stevenson once said, a friend is the gift you give to yourself. Khalil Gibran once said, friendship is a sweet responsibility, never an opportunity. Now here's an amazing study. This has gone on for almost 80 years. You know of a study that's gone on for that long? The principal investigator dies, somebody else comes on board, funding disappears. So this was started in the year before Hitler invaded Austria. They took 750 21-year-olds in Boston, 250 went to Harvard, the other 500 were from very poor, dysfunctional families in parts of Boston, Dorchester, Roxbury. They entered the study, off they went to the war. They came back, they re-entered the study. As of a few years ago, 91 years of age, 19 were still alive. Who was in that cohort? 4 ran for the US Senate. Some became doctors, lawyers, CEOs, schizoalcoholic derelict. Some died of suicide. One of them was John F. Kennedy. JFK was in that cohort. And what happened to them? Many different career paths. Some even died unfortunately of suicide. Now a cohort of their children, 200 are being followed. Sorry, 2,000 are being followed. Detailed questionnaires, physical examinations, CRP, cholesterol, blood pressure, functional MRI, interviews with the spouses. And what's the main conclusion of the study? Loneliness is toxic. Your happiness, your satisfaction with relationships with friends at age 50 is a better predictor of health, happiness, and longevity at age 80, 30 years later. So I tell the medical students, house staff, student faculty, I know you have 15 minutes for a repeat visit, but in the last 30 seconds, ask them what they do to celebrate and nurture their friendships. James Jones, a brilliant author, once said, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Let me repeat that. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So nurture your friendships, bring you a lot of happiness. This is a study. Robert von Linger is the current principal investigator of this study. He's given a brilliant TED talk. It's the #1 TED talk by a physician. He's a professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School. He's a very interesting individual. He's also a Zen monk. And it's really a brilliant TED talk. It's worth watching and worth telling your patients to watch this brilliant TED talk. The second trait of the happiest people on this planet is the ability to forgive. If you hold bitterness or rancor in your heart, you cannot be truly happy. Anyone in this room, if you're holding a grudge against an ex, a neighbor, a spouse, a colleague, my plea to you, get rid of it. And the moment you make that decision, you'll feel this enormous weight come off your shoulders. To me, one of the most amazing examples of forgiveness is that of Nelson Mandela. How many years did he serve in prison? How many?
27.
27 years in prison. You know, it's hard to fathom 27 hours, days, weeks, months. And when he's released, he's asked the question, Mr. Mandela, do you have a resentment against your white captors? And he gave the most eloquent answer. He said, I have no bitterness, I have no resentment. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. He said, as I walked out the gate to freedom, I looked back at myself and I said to myself, if I still harbor resentment, I'll still be in prison. Right? In prison of mind. Gandhi once said, the weak can never forgive forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. The Buddha once said, "Is anything like holding a hot coal with the intent of hurtling it at the person who offended you? That person's moved on. Meanwhile, you're burning your hand." Right? So friends, forgiveness. The third attribute is a quote from Albert Schweitzer. Many of you know he was a physician, theologian, humanitarian. Nobel laureate, 1952, he gets the Nobel Peace Prize. And talk about humility. At the ceremony, he says, "Now I have to go over it. Now I have to go over it." And he once said, "I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I'm certain of. The ones amongst you who will be truly happy are those who have sought and found how to serve." Look at our profession. Every day, countless opportunities to serve. Middle of the night, long weekends, taking care of patients and talking to their families who are suffering as much, if not more. So I've distilled it into 3 F's: friends, forgiveness, and for others. But there's a 4th one, and it begins with the letter G. And you know it. What is it?
Granted.
Gratitude. Gratitude. It's not God. There are atheists who do God's work. It's gratitude. There's a wonderful anonymous quote. If you don't know the language of gratitude, you'll never be on speaking terms with happiness. So gratitude is right from the Latin gratia, meaning grace, graciousness, gratefulness. It's a highly prized tenet in all the major religions. And I'm defining gratitude as something positive gain coupled with the realization that somebody else was responsible for that. Now, gratitude can be cultivated in a very simple way, is with the regular practice of meditation. Our religion, many different kinds, they all work. I have a saying, you should meditate once a day. And if you don't have time to do that, you should meditate twice a day. Now, the other way is simply by having a gratitude journal. Get a notebook from CVS, Walgreens, right there, put your name on it, gratitude journal. Every Sunday night, as you're reflecting on what's in store for you the next week, look back at what's transpired in the last 7 days. Write down what you're grateful for. Your happiness quotient will go through the roof. This is a randomized controlled study by Robert Emmons, who's written a wonderful book called Thanks. He actually did a study. We randomized people for 6 weeks every day to jot down half of them 3 random things they did that day, and the other half write down 3 things they were grateful for that day. And the group that expressed and wrote about their gratitude, their happiness quotient went through the roof. There is a happiness formula. This is based on studying monozygotic twins and comparing them to dizygotic twins. And what it says is that 50% of our happiness is genetic. You all probably know families, parents, 3 kids, maybe 2 of the kids are happy and the 3rd one is not that happy, right? Same family, same parents, same house, same school, same neighborhood, genetic. That's the second one, like thermostat in this room. And amazingly, only 10% is living conditions. Doesn't matter if you live in a mansion in Beverly Hills, or the slums of Calcutta, or the shanty towns of Joburg. Have a roof, running water, you're pretty happy. And 40% is voluntary action. What you can do to make others happy, to nurture, to mentor, to give. You know, St. Francis of Assisi once said, "For it is in the giving that we receive." What a blessing. Beautiful quote by him. He said, "Preach the gospel at all times. If necessary, use words." Preach the gospel at all times, if necessary, use words. By your example. But even that 50% set point can be modulated. And we know that. Exercise, behavioral cognitive therapy, meditation, and very importantly, the regular practice of gratitude. This is a book I mentioned earlier, Robert Evans, considered the father of modern positive psychology. Thanks. How the new science of gratitude can make us happier. Once said, success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. Thich Nhat Hanh, amazing enlightened Vietnamese monk, once said, there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. Next slide. Now you all know about John Lennon, the Beatle. 5 years of age, he goes to school. And the teacher gives the kids an assignment. Write down what you want to be when you grow up. He writes happy, and he hands it to the teacher. And the teacher says, John, you did not understand the assignment. No. And he looks at the teacher and he says, and you don't understand life. Oh. 5-year-old. His mother every night, when she tucked him into bed, said, John, when you grow up, I want you to be happy. So I think children are the modern day philosophers. We can also learn an incredible amount from fictional characters. John, you did not understand the assignment. He looks at the teacher, and you don't understand life. Wow. Is that close to that? So just as we consider children to be modern day philosophers, we can learn immeasurably from fictional characters. And look at this. Snoopy and Charlie Brown. And Charlie Brown says, we only live once, Snoopy. And Snoopy says, wrong. We only die once. We live every day. And look at these characters by building almost 100 years ago. Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. Winnie the Pooh says to Piglet, if you live to be 100 years, I want to live to be 100 years minus 1 day, because I cannot live a day without you. How beautiful, how sublime is that friendship and that love. Now here are the happiest countries, year in, year out. It's Finland, Iceland, Denmark, Costa Rica, Sweden, Switzerland, the small country nestled in the Himalayas, Bhutan. It's the only country that has a ministry of happiness. 40 years ago, the ruler said, gross happiness product is more important than gross domestic product. And they track every citizen, that's a small country, every citizen's happiness level each year. Costa Rica, amazing country. Enlightened ruler, Austro-Arians, Roman the first country that has now banned zoos. The animals are not there for our entertainment in cages. You know, when we put animals in captivity in a cage, their lifespan increases significantly. You want to watch the animals? Go to a national forest and watch them. Very enlightened ruler. So Costa Rica is one of those. Now what's unique in Denmark and in Norway is they have this phenomenon called hygge. Hygge is the cozy, convivial, comfortable getting together with friends. If I'm in Dr. Gupta's neighborhood, if I were living in Denmark, I don't pick up my cell phone and call them and say, Jagdish, are you home? Can I drop by for a cup of coffee? I simply ring the doorbell. And if they're home, they say, hey, come on in, sit down. You sit by the fireplace, you have hot chocolate, and you talk about life. Buddha. It's actually a board game now. You can play this with your children and grandchildren. So a very common phenomenon was Denmark and Norway. So we've talked about four things: friends, forgiveness for others, and gratitude. But happiness is more than the sum total of happy moments. And in order for us to have sustained happiness, be happy most of the time, we have to find our purpose in life and live it. Mark Twain once said, the two most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. What's your purpose? Now you can define your purpose by reflecting on it. In a workshop I do with a very spiritual friend of mine, Adrian Wilkins, we give everyone 33 by 5 cards and say for the next 30 days at the end of the workshop, at the end of the day, write down 3 or 4 things you did. And then next to it, give it a rating. 1, you were miserable. Then if you were lucky, you were blessed. There'll be lots of 3s, 4s, 5s, a few 6, 7, 8. At the end of a month, line all 30 cards on a long table. Strike off everything from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at 6, 7, 8, 9. That made you happy. That gave you joy. Your purpose is lurking in there. You find your purpose. Sometimes somebody has the fortitude, the grit, the compassion, the love to witness something horrific, and it becomes their life's purpose in life. So you know what? I'm going to make a difference. Most of us will experience sorrow. When we emerge from the abyss with a clear purpose, we will have triumph. This is Partners in Healthcare. Many of you have heard of Paul Farmer. Paul Farmer and Jim Kim were medical students at Harvard Medical School. They graduated in 1991. As medical students, they started Partners in Healthcare. They have provided the most seminal care for the poorest of the poor, the most destitute in Rwanda, in Peru, in Haiti, in Indian reservations in our country, in Russian prisons, prisoners with multi-drug resistant TB. Paul Farmer died tragically on February 22nd of this year. He had worked all day in Rwanda. He went to sleep, had a heart attack. The head dean at Harvard Medical School, George Daly, in a eulogy, said, Paul Farmer was my mentor. He said, Paul Farmer will go down as an iconic figure, as one of the greatest humanitarians of our time. Jim Kim was originally from South Korea. After 17 years, he left. He was appointed the president of Ghana, and then appointed by President Obama to lead the World Bank. He stepped up to that role. When Paul Farmer died, Jim Kim went to Rwanda with his family to bring the body back to Miami. Paul Farmer once said, the idea that some lives matter less than others is the root of all that's wrong in this world. His favorite billboard, one he encountered in Haiti 25 years ago, said, the only true nation is humanity. Paul Farmer got the MacArthur Genius Award, $500,000, counted into his foundation. Last year, he got a new award. It's only been given 5 times. $1 million counted into his foundation. Years ago, go back, please. One slide. Go back. You see this individual on the left, HIV/AIDS, skeleton of a man. Paul Farmer goes with Jim Kim to the pharmacy at the Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston with an empty suitcase, and they sweet talk their way into the pharmacist giving them $93,000 worth of antiretrovirals. They fly to Haiti. They administer it to this man and his dead friend. The person on the right is the same individual who is now fully recovered and has the story of Paul Farmer's work is told in this wonderful book by Tracy Kidder. Tracy Kidder is a 3 times Pulitzer Prize winner. He followed Paul Farmer for 3 years and then wrote this book. The Quest of Dr. Paul Farmer, a man who would cure mountains beyond mountains. And here's a very interesting individual, an economist from the country Venezuela. And on a lark, some 35 years ago, he took 9 kids off the street and taught them classical music in his country, Venezuela. This program is known as El Sistema, the system. There are now 400,000 children in Venezuela performing classical music. 90% come from impoverished families. They'll be on drugs and gangs, maybe even dead. Some years ago, a group performed at the Vienna Philharmonic, and the critics raved about it, said performance of the year. The individual you see on the screen there is Gustavo Gudeman, one of his kids, one of those poor people. At 27, he became the conductor of the LA Philharmonic, one of the most celebrated conductors in the world. I think it answers it addresses the question about nature versus nurture. Right? Nature is important, the genes we inherit, but nurture is very important. This program, El Sistema, is now being performed in UCLA, in Boston, in Scotland, in Ireland, in Greece, in many different countries. A group was given an honorary doctorate some years ago at Harvard. That year, one other person received an honorary doctorate, and that was Oprah Winfrey. So Oprah Winfrey and Oprah. Now here's 5 things you see on the screen. I should have traveled more. I should have spent more time with my friends. I should have been the bigger person and said, I'm sorry. I should have had the courage to pursue my dreams and aspirations. I should have said I love you more. Who says these 5 things? You know it. Don't be afraid to be right. These are people in hospice. When asked, what are your greatest regrets in life? Nobody says, I should have worked harder. I should have belonged to 3 country clubs. I should have driven a new Tesla every 6 months. So the point is, all of us need to be doing this now. None of us should have any of these regrets on our deathbed. This is a nurse who interviewed 1,000 people in hospice. What are your greatest regrets in life? Now here's an amazing young lady. She grew up in an orphanage the first 2 years and adopted by a lovely family in Virginia. She's about 17 years of age, coming out of a restaurant, takeout, and she's about to sit in the front passenger seat. She sees a homeless guy shivering on the street. She says, Mom, let me give him the food. The mother says, yeah, give him the food. So he gives him the food, goes on. And she says, Mom, we got to go back. I need to give him a clean blanket. He was shivering. So she goes back, gives him a blanket. She has now, in the last 7 years, given away 180,000 blankets. She goes in the middle of the night, 11 o'clock in a van with her mother, to these parks where there are homeless people, many of whom are mentally challenged. Their families have abandoned them. She has a large box with water, insect repellent, vitamin D3, nutritional bars, and a blanket. The merchants in the area support her. Chapters are opening up in many different parts of our country. She's known as the blanket girl. And she was asked, what was the reaction of that first person you gave the blanket to? She said, he looked up. It was a combination of shock and gratitude. It haunts me to this day, but it keeps me going. So an angel amongst us who found her purpose in life, seeing that homeless man shivering on the curb in a street in Virginia. Finish by telling the story of Adam Braun. Adam Braun studied at Brown. He did a semester at sea. Every country he went to on a lark, he picked an 8-year-old kid off the street. And through an interpreter said, if you can have one wish in the world, what would it be? So this 8-year-old girl in an African country says, to dance. He says, come on, she didn't get the question, ask it again. If you had one wish in the world, what would it be? She says, to dance. Goes to another country, 8-year-old girl. You can have one wish in the world. She says, for my mother to be healthy, hold my hand and walk me to school. Goes to India. Meets an 8-year-old beggar boy. Again, through an interpreter, a question. If you can have one wish in the world, what would it be? And the boy says, a pencil. He says, what? Ask him again. He says, a pencil. He sits on a wall outside a school. The kids come out of school, they sit on the wall next to him. They're waiting for their ride on the school bus. They open their books. They have a pencil, they're writing, they're drawing, they're laughing, they're hugging each other. He thinks his ticket to happiness is a pencil. So Adam Braun buys thousands of pencils. And every country he goes to after that, he doles out pencils to poor kids on the street. He comes back to New York. He's haunted by the image of this 8-year-old beggar boy in India. All he wanted was a pencil. So he starts a foundation, promise of a pencil. His goal is to build one school. He does a fundraiser in New York. Social media, his friends help him. Hoping to raise $3,000. He raises $6,000 one evening. Travels around the country, goes to dorms. Sometimes one kid will show up. A young lady in a small college in California says, Adam, I'm going to ride a bike across America. I'll raise $10,000 for you. Somebody matches it. She raises $20,000. One school in those parts of the world costs $40,000. Half a school. He's at a rooftop in Manhattan. All the other individuals are mostly white men over the age of 60. He's 27. This elderly gentleman walks up to him and says, young man, what do you do? He said, I work for a non-profit. Before he can finish his sentence, the elderly gentleman starts his robes, walks in. As he's walking, he says, sir, can I have your card? The guy hands him his card. 2 days later, he sends him an email. He says, can you please spare 20 minutes and have a cup of coffee with me? And the guy agrees. So he says to himself, the word non-profit has a negative connotation. What is the CEO making? What is the overhead? 70%? Going on golf junkets? So when he sits down with this elderly gentleman, he says, I don't work for a non-profit. I have a for-purpose organization. We build schools for poor kids around the world. The guy takes out his checkbook, writes him a check for 20 grand. Adam Braun was listed in Forbes magazine a few years ago as one of the most influential people in the world under the age of 30. His grandmother, whom he loves dearly, she's in her 90s, She's 4 feet 11 inches. She's a Holocaust survivor. Her name is Eva Braun, ironically, right? Eva Braun. And he calls her mom. And Adam had a wonderful job at Bain, started by Mitt Romney in Boston. And he quit. And she says, Adam, I was so proud of you. You're working for Bain. What's this pencil thing you do? He says, Ma, come sit down next to me. Takes out his laptop, shows her 3 slides. First slide are these poor kids playing in the dirt in an African country. The second slide is a spanking new school, the first school we had built. And the third slide, as you walk up the steps to the foyer, it says, this school is dedicated to Mom, Eva Braun. And then the two of them saw. He found his purpose in life. Meeting that 8-year-old beggar boy in India, all he wanted was the best. Next. All right, next. Next. Now, we don't have to do some of these daunting things like Paul Farmer and Adam Braun and Rice said. We can all make a difference in the world. It's a wonderful parable about this young girl who's walking on a beach where there are 10,000 starfish stranded. She picks one, twirls it, throws it into the ocean, and darts away. Picks another one, same thing. There's an old man sitting in the corner of the beach, reading a book, smoking a pipe. He says, young lady, come here. What are you doing? See this beach? It has 10,000 starfish stranded. Look across. There's another beach, 15,000 starfish stranded. Do you think you're making a difference? So she picks the starfish, twirls it, throws it into the ocean, takes off. She turns to the old man and says, it made a difference to that one. Right? We can all make a difference in a very small way. Next slide. I'll conclude by sharing with you my purpose in life is to fulfill my dharma, which is a Sanskrit word that in it is vocation, moral compass, truth, integrity, to practice, to teach medicine, to teach leadership, to teach about happiness, to do it grounded in humility with an ardent desire to learn every single day, to celebrate with gratitude my family, my friends, my colleagues, my students, my patients, to inspire me in countless ways. In some small measure, inspire everyone I meet on this amazing life journey. Next slide. I invite you to reflect on what gives you the greatest joy and happiness. You may be already living your purpose. If not, it is my ardent wish, my fervent hope, that you will find your purpose in life and that living it will light up every single day of your life. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Most fantastic person, I would like to be there.
Yeah, I know that's why. No. Thank you. Yeah. Take your time, take your time. Perfect.
Just a bad knee. I still
join me.
First and foremost, I have to say congratulations for all the work you've been doing. The incoming president and Gupta, thank you. And Dr. Mel Licker, thank you. And all the staff that make the medical board do what they do best. Before I start, I have to say, welcome to my district, 46th district. It's a beautiful place, isn't it? My name is Mercedes Narcisse. It's a pleasure to serve as a city council member. Not only that, as chair of hospitals and sitting on health committee and on budget and negotiation and so many other communities that have committees that can make sense for my community. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm living my purpose. I'm serving the people. I'm trying to meet the inequities because this pandemic has highlighted the problem that we do for decades going on in our community. So we cannot go backward. We have to move forward to address the inequities. And thank you. If I tell you my background, you know I wish doctors. I'm from Haiti. Either you're doctors or lawyer. I'm a nurse for 3 decades. My husband is a gastroenterologist. My son is an orthopedic surgeon. So to tell you, we know doctors. And we always do it. So without any further ado, I guess.
Thank you. Please come down over there. I will invite our Metro State Society President, Dr. Mehta, will join me. Liz, Lisa A, Dr. Meliker, and we're going to join us for the and I will be this. I don't know if my president or my office guy is sitting here or not. I would like to recognize Dr. Vinny Jayan, the best electoral geologist. He is here. He is not here. I'm sorry. At this time, I want to invite our very own Kings County bred leadership, Dr. Parag Mehta, to say a few words. Thank you, Parag.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you. Congratulations, Dr. Gupta. Congratulations, Dr. Matthew. You did a fantastic job as president. I'm sure Dr. What you will do with us. It's late night. I'll try to be very brief. I think we'd like to say personal thank you to Dr. Sanjiv Chopra, and he inspired me to give this talk. Every single slide that I saw, I have read the books on each one of that. Dr. Kumar was asking, is it true story about John Lennon? It is in his own words. He himself wrote it. People believe that at age 5, his parents were getting divorced. He wanted to visit his father, but the moment he saw his mother leaving, he ran after his mother, and his mother taught him to be happy. And the reason this is important that at age 5, he wrote the word happy. At age 50, you don't write that word happy. Because we write our projects, planning, everything, and putting our will, we don't write one word happy. So that happiness is important. And believe it or not, it's worth believing that it's a true story. So thank you for that. And Thank you, Dr. Chopra. Whenever I give my talk, the first slide comes is of Dr. Chopra. And I was giving it in Cornell, one of the keynotes, and our chairman, Dr. Hollenberg, sitting on the first bench, took the picture and then started texting. So at the end of the lecture, I was taking the picture of Sanjiv, my friend, and sending him that somebody is giving him the tribute. So thank you for doing that. And I could have said so many things about the medical society, but I think what Dr. Chopra said is the most important thing, that we need to do the personal development and then the professional development. After that, the practice, and then comes politics. I have to say something about the politics, and because I'm not going to say anything. The medical society is the reason where we got the parity of telephone and telehealth, and it is now permanent. That means you can make money. It was a long time due, and it happened last year because of that. There was 1% Medicaid cut. It did not happen. There's a lot of money for all of us. And then there's a doctor across New York, which is a grant given to the people who are in the suburban areas, and that continued. Yesterday, there were 2 bills passed. One of them was the step-up therapy for psychiatry is no longer existing. Psychiatrists can write medication the way they want. And then the second one was the co-pay accumulation. If you use your discount card, it should be considered toward the deductible. So all these things which are happening is happening because of the collective efforts. With that, I urge you to call your senator or send an email, because there's a bill which is being discussed on table right now, which is for the wrongful death. If that bill passes, malpractice premium will go back 40%. What wrongful death means in this particular bill, anybody can claim for emotional damage, even though they are 5 cents away, maybe not the brothers, sisters, and the friends, somebody, some guy. Oh, I had emotional trauma, I can do it. Right? So we do not want to have that thing happen. There's a lot more medical societies doing day in, day out, and that is in advocacy. With Dr. Gupta at the Kings County, with the first district, and with the society, we will be doing a lot of programs. As we are getting late, I'm going to stop, and I'll continue with all of you. Thank you for coming, and please stay connected, stay engaged.
Thank you for asking us. Proud of you, of our leadership in Kings County Medical Society. I'll take 30 seconds to recognize Ms. Bernadette Riley, Dr. Bernadette Riley, EO. She is the president of New York State Osteopathic Medical Society and president of the Nassau County Medical Society. Give her a big round of applause. We are very little late, but we are very ready to listen to Dr. Wayne Riley, president of the Downstate Medical Center, video message. Next, thank you. Can we play the message, please?
I'm Dr. Wayne Riley, president of SUNY Downstate Health Sciences University, the only academic medical center and medical school in Brooklyn. With an enrollment of more than 200 students in each entering class, we are the largest medical school by enrollment in all of New York City. I am so pleased to join with my colleagues of the Medical Society of Kings tonight, and honored to be a part of your bicentennial celebration. At age 200, you are older than Downstate by 38 years. Yet across many historic decades, your distinguished history is our history. Over the years, you have welcomed graduates of Downstate in your ranks. We at Downstate, in turn, have benefited from your advocacy on behalf of physicians in medicine. While we are separate entities, our missions spring from a common belief in the power of medicine to serve the common good. Our organizations are built on the belief that we must promote, preserve, and enforce the highest standards of ethical practice and quality of medical care. Now, one might say that our histories have cross-pollinated. The Medical Society of the County of Kings was founded in 1822, while Downstate was founded in 1860 as the Collegiate Division of the Long Island College Hospital, also known as LICH. Of your founders and earliest members, at least 4 Brooklyn doctors who served as president of the Medical Society between 1822 and 1860 would go on to serve as members of the faculty at LICH, are part of its governing council. And while never serving as the presidents of the Medical Society, 2 of your members, Dr. Louis Bauer and Dr. John Byrne, played pivotal roles in Downstate's founding. Both were trained in Europe, where it was customary for medical schools to be associated with universities and hospitals. Seizing on this model, Dr. Bauer and Byrne launched Long Island College Hospital as the first medical school in America to bring teaching of medicine to the hospital bedside. In effect, creating the first teaching hospital in the nation. And yet another example of our cross-pollination. In its first year of operation, LICH brought to the Medical Society one of its most famous members, Dr. Frank Hastings Hamilton. Dr. Hamilton left LICH to serve as chief surgeon and medical director of the Army of the Potomac during the Civil War, wrote the first textbooks on military surgery, and pioneered many surgical firsts, including skin grafts. Over the years, many graduates of Downstate have become members of your society. The 1888 Manual of the Medical Society of the County of Kings, for example, lists 119 LICH graduates in its chronological list of members. One of these was Dr. Alexander Skeen, an 1863 Downstate graduate who had broad impact on the medical profession. He founded the American Gynecological Society in 1886, served as president of the Medical Society from 1874 to 1875, and as the president of LICH from 1893 to 1899. A bust honoring Dr. Skeen's memory still stands today in Brooklyn's Grand Army Plaza. There are, of course, many more Downstate graduates who are proud members and leaders of the Medical Society of the County of Kings. Among the more recent Downstate graduates who have served as president of your society are Duncan Clark, Randall Bloomfield, Monica Sweeney, Harold Carnes, and Sam Utrecht. The society wrote new grants in 2016 to install Dr. Travis Meyer, then a Downstate fellow in vascular and interventional radiology, as its president. Dr. Meyer was the youngest ever physician to serve as president of the society. The installation keynote was delivered by Dr. Pascal James Imbrado, who is the founding dean of our Downstate School of Public Health. Dr. Imbrado has shared with me many fond memories of the Medical Society dating back to his childhood. His uncle, also a physician, would commission him to take out books from the Society's extensive library collection, then located in your historic and beautiful building on Bedford Avenue. It had been built in 1903 in large Bedford to house the library and showcase the Society's commitment to sharing medical knowledge. Years later, in 1962, that collection would merge with and be housed with Downstate's library on Clarkson Avenue, under the leadership of Dr. Robert Moore, a past president of the Medical Society, who at that time was dean of Downstate's College of Medicine. The combined libraries form the Medical Research Library of Brooklyn, one of the most outstanding and largest medical libraries in the nation. The collection includes historically important books and journals, as well as three-dimensional objects, and we are proud to have been made stewards of the Medical Society's legacy. Now, of course, beyond Downstate, the Society encompasses physicians who serve in hospitals and medical practices throughout the borough of Brooklyn, and who are graduates of medical schools from across the city, state, nation, and indeed world. On behalf of Downstate, I salute the Medical Society of the County of Kings and each of its members, past and present, for 200 years of accomplishments. You have defined and led the art and science of medicine in Brooklyn. Collectively, you have been a potent force for change and progress. Together, we will continue to shape medicine to serve our communities and the public good. Together, we can work to ensure that Brooklyn's physicians take the helm and address the major issues that are changing and challenging the practice of medicine. And together, Let us ensure that the Medical Society of the County of Kings shines its enduring light for many more years to come.
Thank you, thank you. For those of you who may not be aware, I came to Long Island Southern Hospital in 1972, till it closed in 2000. Honoring and highlighting the achievement and outstanding contribution of an impressive and inspirational set of honorees representing 50 long years since graduation for their diligent services, impartial care to our Brooklyn community. And these 12 esteemed honorees, can you please project their names on the slide? These 12 esteemed honorees have distinguished themselves in the field of community service, patient advocacy, medical innovation, and clinical practice. These honored physicians have saved countless lives and brought relief to thousands